Fox News alert, a night of anarchy on the West Coast after Antifa got their hands on more weapons than Zelensky. The West Coast Martyrs Brigade stormed UCLA's campus last night, strapped with helmets, gas masks, and riot gear. Not your typical, mostly peaceful protesters. Weapons of choice included fire extinguishers, bottles, 2x4s, and umbrellas. Clashes with the police went on until the crack of dawn. Over 200 arrests made overnight. Cops snatching their masks off like Scooby-Doo villains. Wait, that's not a college student. That's a 40-year-old woman. Other protesters cuffed and frog-marched, grinning ear to ear. Their parents must be so proud. At Portland State University, anarchists also laid siege to a library that was, let's be honest, already empty. Police reports that the only books they stole were comic books. But then they retreated from the library when the cops arrived. Watch. Yeah.
Stop, you're under arrest. Stop. Hey, stop. Get away. I got it right now. Hey, cops are doing their job. Cops are doing their job. Stop.
Making a shield from a Rubbermaid trash can like a homeless middle schooler playing Dungeons and Dragons? Oscar the Groucho Marx never played football because he bounced off that cop like a bowling pin. Running towards police in a bankruptcy barrel? Not the brightest escape tactic. Police don't know what to expect. Is that Hacksaw Jim Duggan or Mary Poppins? Body cam footage just released the moment the NYPD busted up Columbia's Liberation Zone. Joe Biden ran on unifying the country, and he has. Now the left and the right are chanting, "Let's go, Brandon," in pitch-perfect harmony. Music to my ears. Good thing Biden's hard of hearing. But this morning, he had Morning Joe cranked up to a 10.
How do the Democrats, how do all of us on that side say January 6th was wrong if you can have the same pictures going on college campuses?
Good Lord, don't make a parallel with January 6th.
The riots on college campuses, the riots at the Chicago Convention in '68, all of those things moved my family from being Democrats their entire life to being Republicans. If you're offended by this, please, I'm trying to help you. I don't want Donald Trump to get elected, all right?
There you go.
Trying to help you. If you're too stupid to figure that out, you change to another channel.
Biden got the message. His favorite TV shows telling him he's going to lose in a landslide to a law and order candidate like Nixon because of campus chaos. And history has a way of repeating itself. After 10 days of silence, to save his presidency, Biden held a press conference and said, "Don't."
We're a civil society, and order must prevail. Throughout our history, we've often faced moments like this because we are a big, diverse, free-thinking, and freedom-loving nation. In moments like this, there are always those who rush in to score political points. But this isn't a moment for politics. It's a moment for clarity. There is no place for hate speech or violence of any kind, whether it's anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, or discrimination against Arab Americans or Palestinian Americans.
Biden told Republicans not to pounce and condemned Islamophobia. Has anybody seen any Islamophobia? All we've seen is anti-Semitism. And so incredibly brave to come out against violence. Churchillian. He could have said that during the summer of love. Wonder what changed. Now, while Biden tries to save his political hide, Trump, who's been beating this drum for a week, thanked cops and demanded Biden stop sicking prosecutors on him, when the real threat's on the radical left.
I'm so proud of the New York's finest. They're great people, too. I know so many of them. They're incredible. They did a job at Columbia. And likewise in Los Angeles, they did a really good job at UCLA. This is a movement from the left, not from the right. The right is not your problem. The law enforcement and the people at DOJ, instead of going after Donald Trump, they ought to look at what's happening in their own offices, because you're loaded up with radical left people that want this country to fail. And we're not going to let this country fail.
The Iranians are offering scholarships now to American protesters. A terrorist state wants to sponsor these little Johnny Jihads who swear allegiance to Hamas on the Quad. Why isn't the FBI and media unmasking these traitors? A woman's life got turned upside down and inside out because she opened up a hair salon during the pandemic just to feed her family. No one's even a little curious about this radical crew. There's a terror nexus staring us right in the face. Bill Ayers, former Weather Underground, former domestic terrorist, the guy's group bombed the Pentagon. He's out there inspiring the University of Chicago Brigade with stories of revolutions past. And he's a professor at the school there. No wonder it's out of control. Stanford University called in the FBI when a man wearing a Hamas headband was spotted on campus. Nick Sandmann wore a MAGA hat, and the media wrote 100,000 words about him. This guy with a Hamas headband flies right under the radar. During the George Floyd riots, America saw 4 months of mayhem, thousands of cops injured, 24 dead, $2 billion in damage. Almost no one went to prison. Mob rule won. 4 years later, they have the same expectations. Biden can say don't all he wants. Our enemies won't listen to him. Why would our citizens? You can smack an old lady's head off and walk out with no bail. No one's worried about going to jail for a protest. Do you think the foreign exchange students hoisting the Palestinian flag are worried about being deported? Biden hasn't deported anybody. They see a justice system focused on prosecuting Republicans, not them. They're not stopping at Free Palestine either. This movement's morphed into a grab bag of your typical anti-American activism.
We demand that UChicago repair the harm it has caused in Palestine, Chicago, and beyond. This includes explicitly acknowledging such harm, as well as implementing a communally accountable program of reparation, disbanding UCPD, decarbonizing the endowment, and reducing emissions by 50% by 2030.
Reparations, defund the police, global warming, what does that have to do with Gaza? And how does divesting from Israel help Palestinians? It doesn't. These protests aren't helping anyone. The protesters aren't even helping themselves. No one's going to hire these psychos after their identities break. They've lost the plot.
Anytime what you are protesting for becomes secondary to what you are doing, then you're really not protesting for it. And you, in many ways, dramatize what we did in Vieques, what I did later in other situations, was to bring attention to a cause, not become the cause.
Right.
And what is troubling me about a lot of this is they become the cause. It's about them. It is not about pushing the cause. They've lost the message.
Everybody wants to fight the power in college. It's a rite of passage. But what's to fight? Life's too good in America. But they still want to suffer for their cause. So their idea of a struggle is losing their meal plan because they're living in a tent. They want the cops to hurt them a little. It's the only time they'll ever feel real pain. Makes them feel alive. They're raging against a machine that dropped the SATs, paid off their loans, and hired them just for their identity. Isn't that what they wanted? Francis Fukuyama warned in The End of History that if men cannot struggle on behalf of a just cause, then they struggle for the sake of struggle, out of boredom, for they cannot imagine living in a world without struggle. And there's plenty of people willing to finance the struggle. PBD flagged the financial reason why the Ivies have gone so soft on Arab Spring break. They get half their money from donations and gifts, and a lot of that money pours in from the Mideast. We saw how Chinese money can massage a university's posture. Money talks in many different languages. Look around the campfire and see who's smiling while America burns.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.